Yes, yo. Good evening, everyone. We welcome you once again to our darling podcast, Pretty Ants. And as we know on this podcast, we've been talking about trivial issues, trending issues, on politics, on our social environment, and all, and about that. So today we are talking about Atiku, and if you've been following us, you will know that we've been talking about our presidential candidates in Nigeria. We've talked about Tinubu, we've talked about Peter Obi, and with me, I have my fellow friends there. They are. Can you introduce yourselves, please?
Tomiloba.
Lexicodi.
Yes, my name is Manuelade.
Maiwa here.
And Mayowa Crown.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay, and yeah, that's us. So today we are talking about Atiku. What are our views? What are their agendas? How do they make a better candidate? What are their what are they propagating? What are they going to offer us? And we would like to shed more light on them. So first off, I think I would like Tomiloba to give us a little bit of an insight on this topic.
Well, for our Waziri Atiku, like he's fondly called by his supporters, he's a former vice president from 1999 to 2007. From what I read, he's been running for president even way longer than that. And I think he's probably, maybe after Buhari, he's probably the one that has tried to be Nigerian's president for longer than anybody else. For me, generally, I think one of the major things that hang on Atiku's neck, whether true or false, we've not really seen enough evidence. And obviously, there's not been any in court judgment or in official indictment. But the question of corruption has always been one of the major things that people have always talked about when it comes to Atiku. And another thing we know is that it's always difficult to find evidence of corruption in Nigeria. So most of the time when we have anything as simple as allegations of corruption, it probably tells us that there's something there if we look deeper. But then, till now, we've not really seen anybody look deep enough. But that aside, as far as his agenda, from what I heard, he is more of this privatization kind of guy.
Exactly.
He believes in private sector control of this, for everything. Oh, electricity privatized, this privatized. And for me, from an economic perspective, the idea of privatization of everything doesn't necessarily solve the problem. We have enough examples of things like PHCN that was privatized. NITEL was privatized. It didn't make those things better. It just puts it in private hands. And at the end of the day, you are selling government property to private individuals at peanut rate. And they get this thing, they don't put any value. There's no financial. And another thing is, you are not even asking them, okay, what are you going to do when you buy these things? Are you going to pump funds into it and things like that? And till now, what we just see is they privatize this, they privatize that. But what should happen with privatization, which is reviving those companies, those businesses, is not really happening. Instead, government is just basically shelving its responsibility to private individuals who are not even ready. All they are just doing is they are using those things as fronts to maybe get bank loans and things. They are not pumping any resources into it. But that's his own ideology, privatizing. So that's, at least generally, that's one of the things he is campaigning with. And then all of them have one opinion about solving the security problem or the other. And for me, a lot of them just say, they talk a lot, but the practicality of their ideas is still questionable. That's my submission.
Okay. I mean, Well, lest I forget, I think I forgot to introduce myself also. I'm Ekunda Yakeomi. So that being that, yeah, I saw something about Atiku's manifesto and agenda, which I think there are 5 major key points there, which is like unity of Nigeria, security, that's number 2. Unity of Nigeria being number 1, security, and economy, that is like the privatization as being said by Tommy. Also, it mentioned education, and it also mentioned like giving more resources and power to the federating units, that is like amendment of policies and constitutions.
I think he was talking about true federalism or something.
Exactly, yeah. Giving more power and trying to amend some rules, some rule of law. So I think we can start by that. Let's Ade also emphasize a little on also part of this agenda. What do you say about it, Emmanuel Ade?
I cannot lie. I'm not really a fan of Atiku because we've actually seen one of the things he did during his time. Basically, apart from the fact that him being the vice president kind of limited his action, we saw him take actions that were disputing the role of the president. We saw him sell a lot of organizations that are meant to be owned and run by the country, which made privatization look like something that could not work in this part of the world. And if you are now coming this time around and you are telling us, according to the agendas of what you are going to rule and run with while you rule, one of the things you would also be doing is telling the little things we have left. You can imagine if presently the is it NNPC is petroleum and everything right now. NNPC is being ruled by the nation, by organization, by the nation's government, and we are still having these issues. What then happens when you come and tell the only thing of the little things left owned by the nation? Presently, PHCN as it is has been run by private organizations, have different charges of wages all over for the watts that they are producing. By the time you go to Ikeja, the production is not as much, but the amount being given is heavy. By the time you come to Surulere, the production is as it is given, and the prices are also wailing. And then we've realized that when we come to Ajakuta rolling mills and places like that, although they keep telling us that there's this to and fro on things like this concerning corruption and not making it wrong, because we keep asking ourselves, why are these things not running? Regardless of the fact that they've been sold to some people, like this, creating steel in this nation would have gone a long way. We don't have a running airport, a running plane transportation anymore. We don't have, things that could have worked easy in this country, like production of vehicles and the rest. We don't have these things running anymore. And the production of these things could work well from Ajakuta rolling mill. So there are things I feel that on Atiku's side, I'm sorry if I didn't use his excellence. There are things I feel would have worked better in the nation. If likes of Atiku, I don't know why Sao Basojo, so that's one of the reasons I really don't go with him also. If Sao Basojo had also walked his line and stood firm against the wrongs that were done by Mr. Atiku.
But one thing I think is Obasanjo is not entirely faultless in everything that happened to them.
No, because that's what I'm trying to explain. Because it was more like he allowed these things roll.
Exactly. And there's no way Atiku will have had the authority to sell anything if
To
Obasanjo had not
totally
signed
put
it.
it exactly.
It was actually
So
a joint action.
that's I started by saying that without powerless the vice president was, he was able to carry out this thing. So how come if the president wasn't involved, you can't tell me he was able to sell such powerful plans, such powerful organizations that would need the authority of the president? I mean, you not tell me Obasanjo just came back one day and realized all these things were sold. Who are they actually carrying handicap?
Otita TV. Otita
Let's
Family House.
let's also weigh in on what's going on. Lexi, do you have anything to like? Yeah. What's your take?
There's nothing much I have to say because there's nothing we want to offer if you've been running for one position or you've been aspiring for a position for 15 to 20 years and you're still coming back. Okay, it's similar to that of Buhari. You I don't know if it's a do or die. I don't know if it's a do or die affair. Something you must achieve because it's so crazy to that of Tinubu. Is it that you become a president before we can know that you've achieved? I don't know. Maybe it's a trophy they need to get before they can just hang their boot and say, yes, I was once the president of. Because look at Obasanjo also. He ruled in the 70s and came back again and he came to rule. Likewise, so I don't know. So they have nothing to offer to me because I feel you still have the old school way of doing things.
Yeah,
there's nothing new they want to. There's nothing you actually want to bring to the table anymore. It's not like because like you said, I remember one of the agenda he brought last time was going to sell an APC. He even said it out like it was in the news. Even if people say it was out there. So
That's
even before you even go into before you even get into power, you already started saying what. To me, that's not even the priority. That's not even the priority to me. So I don't know, but there's two people that believe in him, and there are people that know that or feel that
sure.
Better. I don't
Sure.
know. So, but
Just
me,
like I saw, sorry for cutting you short.
No, I
I
can
saw
hear you,
something
continue.
concerning Zamfara State where they came out in mass. That's the thing about politics, though. You would have your supporters. They came out in mass and they were really supporting and wailing and shouting for Atiku, and they were even burning brooms, saying they were either killing or burying APC. That people even were coming out on social media saying, if Atiku no win, they can burn, all those kind of things.
Tell me made mention of something like this, like feel like a prequel to this, like when he mentioned facts about no matter what you say, no matter what you do, there will still be people that will be like, oh, this guy is right and all. And that's just the ideology about all this politics and stuff. No matter what you tell people, no matter anything that the person might have done before, there will still be some loyalists. So it's just the way Nigerian politics has been. So they did demonstrate now their own way.
They did demonstrate.
And another thing okay, go on, Ade, go on.
Okay, yes. Thank you very much. Do you notice it seems like Atiku is much more interested in the north than he is in the west. I mean, than he is of the west and south. If you notice, most campaign he has been running, most visitation has been in the north. We hardly hear or see anything down in the south or in the east, middle belt. But up north is really pushing things. It's more like when he wins, God says, if anything is going to matter, it's going to basically answer the north, because those are the people that are giving him attention. He knows that the east and majorly the south are torn between Saudi and Satinumbu.
But if you want things to flow, and if you want things to go back to normal, I would say my own 2 cents, just vote for PDP. They have way of stuff. So you enjoy PDP.
chop I chop.
Chop by chop. So that's the good thing.
Umbrella unit.
That's the good thing. Yes, that's the good thing. PDP will bring to the table.
But as Adere said, he said Atiku is more about promoting the northern hemisphere and interest. So, but in his manifesto, he's trying to like say, that's even his number one agenda. He's saying he's going to like unite Nigeria, create a unified country.
Okay, Dio, let me tell you one funny thing about when you hear a politician talk about unity. The whole idea of unity is a northern agenda. It doesn't mean it is not nationalistic in terms of, of course, when you hear the word unity, of course, everybody likes the idea of unity, being united.
Exactly.
But then, first question you ask yourself is, who is going to benefit the most from this unity? Is it a region that is taking a larger percentage of the country's resources and giving the least amount of contribution to the national pocket? Or the region that is supplying 90% of what the country uses to survive, that is the Niger Delta, but then are getting very little? Would you think will be more interested in continuing that idea of unity? Of course, the person that is contributing less. So that is the one question on one part. On the other part, when you talk about, whereas the solution to that would be, true federalism, like is one of his agendas. He said, apart from unity on one side, true federalism on the other. True federalism requires restructuring. Restructuring means you want to create a particular structure where each region, or you want to, don't let me even conclude. My own idea of restructuring, I don't know if that is Atiku's idea of restructuring, is that you want to create a revenue allocation system where each region pays tax to the federal government, but keep the resources that are gotten from that region. So, for instance, Niger Delta has the oil. When you sell the oil in the international market, 100% of the money goes to Niger Delta. Then Niger Delta pays a particular percentage to the federal government.
I think that's nice. That's actually nice.
that should be what we should be thinking
exactly.
of.
That should be the idea.
In a way, I can say that there's like a flaw and there are benefits in that manifesto.
Of course, in that kind of system, you would not hear unity anymore, because that unity is not going to be favorable to some people by that point. Because then you now ask, the North, whatever you have in your own area, bring it, sell it, make profit, just pay tax. Definitely, there will be an uneven development in the country, because some places will be very well developed, some places will not. But the reality is that that is not so different from what you have in other developed countries. New York, let me say New York, if you talk about California, you talk about Atlanta, Georgia, and places like that, they are very well developed compared to if you talk about places like North Carolina. It's all about revenue allocation. If you are generating a lot of IGR, internally generated revenue from your region, of course there will be development. But you wouldn't see anybody go into the one forest in Nevada to go and build a skyscraper. There's nothing there. So obviously the same thing in Nigeria. And that's one of the things people criticize Buhari for. You say that you built 100 roads in the north, 100 roads in the south. Who needs the roads the most? Is it the north or in the south? Is it the commercial hub of the country that you are supposed to focus more, or building roads in the desert? So all these things, I feel like that's where the issue comes in. They'll just come and tell us, we want to restructure. Break it down. What do you mean by restructuring? What do you mean by true federalism? Are you talking about revenue allocation? Or are you just talking about you are going to let governors have more power? Or you are going to increase the revenue the states will be getting? Or are you going to create more local governments? Or are you going to relinquish some of the powers of the federal government? What exactly do you mean by true federalism? Why is the federal government still running secondary schools? What is the business of a federal government with issuing plate numbers? All those things. What is the purpose of the role of the Inspector General of Police? What's the point? Because things like that are the things you're supposed to talk about when you're talking about true federalism. You have eliminated the powers of the governor of a state to be the chief security officer of a state, because even the commissioner of police would listen to the IG before he listens to the governor. So those are the issues I feel like they should talk on specifically, and Nigerians are not asking the right questions to say, what are you going to do in this case on this issue? Don't just come with grammar. You copied something from government textbook and you're turning it into your 5-point agenda. Break it down. Be practical. What are you going to do about this thing? Security, education. What are you doing about security? What are your tactics for engaging Boko Haram and resolving this issue?
Actually, on security, I think his major plan is to recruit more personnel and
wow, that you're the spokesman.
No, I'm not actually.
No, it's nice.
I'm just highlighting.
No, educators, it's good. I'm just
highlighting what he said he would do. I'm just highlighting what he said he would do, because he said he will hire more personnel and maybe try to increase their standard of living, make it more attractive and all that, so that there can be more maybe youth willing to join, the security personnel too and all that, because there has been some lapses in those areas too. So everybody will say sweet things. Everybody will say sweet things to attract people. So I don't know. Maybe that will work. We'll see how it goes.
How long do we say? How long do we say these sweet things? How long? So people learn. Are you not tired?
Welcome to Nigeria.
I think all we just need to do more as people is require our politicians to be more practical in the things they said they are going to do. Funny enough, if you hear, I guess one of the reasons, although we're not talking about Peter Obi today, but one of the reasons his supporters like him is, even though some of the things he's saying may not necessarily be workable, but he's always very practical. He says things that you can almost be like, wow, that's true. He tries to be very practical. Yeah. He tries to give simple solutions to critical problems. And the reality is that some of these problems, all they require is simple solution. But politics has a way of shrouding our view that will make it look like, no, you don't get it. You can't understand. It is simple in some instances. Not so simple in some instances, but then if you know that you have the answers to the problem, don't tell us formula, don't tell us equation. Solve the problem, solve it for us. Let us see. Show like they will say in maths, show your working. Show your working.
Show your workings for us.
So at this point, we need, like you said, show your workings. Even need their control balance. Let's get this step right.
Abi? Exactly. In maths, when you are working maths, they will tell you that they will give you points for your step by step. Even if your final answer is wrong, you still get points.
I see what you did there. You use accounting concept, balance sheet,
financial accounting.
Just make sure you get the final number.
Even if you get to the last year in office and you still did not deliver, and we saw track record for the last 3 years. And that will give us hope. That will give us hope. Not just come back and promise us what we can't see or we can't touch.
Another thing is one thing our politicians always rely on is that, and that is in a large sense, that's what the current administration too did. They always want to blame the last person that left. No, we are here because they stole all the money that were supposed to use.
I think Atiku also used that too, because he was like, if we are to be going by our past governments and the way they have ruled us, we can see the absolute jeopardy that we are, that we like for that to continue again and stuff like that. So yeah, all of them, they're always using the same kind of tactics. It's true. They always say the person that left, even in governorship, even if it's the same party, even if it's the same party, they will say this past governor, he was owing some money, he was doing some things, I will clear it, or they will bring out the Empower will come. But I will say I'm doing the Empower. Then I will say no, it's not under my own budget. I'm not following down. I'll bring out my own. So there has always been that dispute among them, and that's true.
One governor will come, or one politician will come and say, you know what, that Ojuelegba to Yaba Road, I want to turn it to bridge instead. You build the bridge, it will reach total filling station. His term will end. Then another one will now come and say, no, bridge, no, we can't put bridge there. They will now leave that bridge half built. Then they will now go and say, okay, you know what? It is river we are going to put or underground train. Something that they know is not attainable. Then they'll start all over again.
So is it safe to say Atiku is more business minded, which thereby leads to the allegation I am not so sure of allegation of
corruption
of the NEPA / generator issue? Is that also part of it? Because if we're also going to look at it, in this game we have to weigh our options. There are some things that we heard which might be true, which might not be true. Because I heard he was the one that was bringing. I think that man is a very business-oriented man. He likes business. Even his privatization of Nigeria, trying to sell everything. Because I saw one place where he was quoted and where he said he was trying to privatize most of these infrastructures to private organizations that are his close friends and family. Is that a way to go? Those are flaws. Those are things that we can also check. That doesn't make sense. You are trying to make your people rich. So
I think
is it like to maximize profits, or
there is an economic principle
for the country?
There's an economic principle called the trickle-down effect.
Mm-hmm.
They believe that when you allow capitalists in a particular society and you allow them to build, industrialize, exploit the resources and everything, when they make so much profit, there will be a trickle-down effect. That means that people around them too will benefit from it, and then the society as large will benefit. That's the major thing about capitalism. The idea of let individuals that have ideas, let them bring their ideas, let them buy companies, let them go into business, let them rise to the highest level they can. When these profits start coming, you can tax them. When you tax them, the money goes back into the economy. It helps for social this thing. There's also
I think that will help if Atiku can do that.
But then there's also the issue is
there's
when you talk about that trickle down, the consequence of that is that you say, okay, for instance, privatization, you privatize, there should be more efficiency in business when you privatize. But the evidence we have seen in Nigeria, we've not seen that efficiency. From what you have privatized, how many, 16 years ago, we've not seen it. Number two, if you talk about, taxation, rich people are the best at avoiding taxes. So they are not even giving back into the society to be able to say, the government is making revenue from them. To be able, the kind of capitalists we have in Nigeria are those who rely on government rather than innovative capitalists who can bring something out of nothing and help the society. By the time you sell to, maybe if you don't sell to Nigerians, you sell to foreigners. Before you know it, China will buy half of everything that we own in Nigeria, and all of us will start learning Chinese as our new official language. Or we'll become all these things. Yeah, it's not as simple as they put it. In developed economies, it works. Okay, Amazon is developing today in America. It's creating jobs. a lot of people are
Yeah.
working as full-time, part-time workers of Amazon. Jeff Bezos is getting rich every day, but then people are employed. People are getting
Exactly.
money. Things, even businesses are benefiting from it. Small businesses sell their stuff on Amazon and they can make money too. All these things work. There's even affiliate marketing through Amazon. What's his name? Elon Musk. His companies that he has created, they are employing people. He's selling Tesla. He's selling this thing. Innovation too comes in with privatization. The idea of let's move away from crude gas to electricity and stuff like that, burning coal. All these things are innovations that come with the idea of capitalism. But the problem is, we have seen it in developed countries. It sounds fanciful, but the moment you bring those ideas into Nigeria, they just come to die. And it is the opposite. What Nitel that is privatized, that should probably be the best telecommunications network in Nigeria right now? Nothing. If you say you want to privatize NNPC, what exactly are you privatizing? Are you trying to say that you want to leave private individuals, you want to leave Nigerians at the mercy of private individuals?
Exactly.
To sell fuel? Is there going to be a price ceiling for how much fuel can be sold? Inflation in Nigeria, the way it works is opposite.
I believe this might even actually lead to a case of monopoly, whereby we are at the mercy of these private individuals. And
exactly.
Once they have the backing of a prominent major or a major politician or politics as their backup, there's even no regulated pricing system in Nigeria or stuff like that. And I believe things are done with so much impunity here. Once they are capable of those kind of things, I think even though these capitalist people, these rich people, they will just try to make money for themselves. It's just like venture capitalists.
Exactly, and nothing will trickle down to anybody.
Nothing will exactly.
Part of the country.
They will just keep making the money for them.
Is it that?
We can't hear you well.
We can't hear you,
hear you properly, Adi.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I was saying that in this part of the country, we've even faced a lot of monopoly issues. It's not like Dangote cannot be faced by another.
Your network is
quite bad.
What's it twice? How many people have?
Your network is bad. But
I think I get what Ade is trying to talk about in terms of monopoly. When these people buy up these companies, nobody to challenge them. They fix the price they want,
especially with the backing of the government.
Yeah, and then there's nothing we can do about it. We just
part of it is I don't know, except part of it is what we are having in Lagos now, the toll gates in Lagos. So you'll see something like it belongs to these people. The why the toll gate has to be there so that they remit money back to them. So we don't know how many years was it Tinubu or Fashola actually sold out that road to them. So, but to me, it brings about development in a way. But maybe if they can make it transparent for we the citizens to know, okay, the deal they're about to embark on,
exactly transparency.
The duration, I know, okay, this is what you actually want to do, because Lagos is still one of the developed states in Nigeria.
No, it's actually generating real revenue.
Yeah, and a lot of it is private sector partnership that Lagos State government. And this whole idea of private sector partnership started from Tinubu era.
Yeah.
Rather than total privatization, what he did is, okay, you know what? We are going to have a certain percentage of this business so that we can monitor it, so that the state government too can make money from it. And that's part of the IGR that I think Fashola was using to campaign for Tinubu a few days ago. That they were able to make internally generated revenue through this private sector partnerships, taxation, and things like that. The focus is, okay, for instance, if we talk about that Lekki toll gate, the whole idea of Lekki toll gate being there is not just to pay back what was used to build the road. Roads across the world does not last forever. Anything you build, especially when it comes to public infrastructure, you must have a system of maintenance in place. The reason that road can still be there is because the money they are paying in that toll gate is put back into the system for maintenance. Because of course, they cannot collect toll gate from a road that is not good. So in a way, it is not just about, I think most of what we hear is propaganda about somebody owns this, somebody owns that. At the end of the day, is the road there? Is it functioning? In America, if you go to somewhere like Houston, almost every 2 miles you drive, you meet a toll gate. So the idea of having a toll gate is not a new thing. Especially if the revenue is used where it's supposed to be used, in the maintenance of that road. And the deal is not at the expense of the people. I don't mind. Look, the reality is, if every road in Nigeria is good, and all you have to do is pay a particular amount of money each time you pass the place at toll gates, the fact that the road is good, I think is better for me than for me to risk my life because the road is free. So if I'm paying toll gate and I know that I'm enjoying good road, at least it makes sense. To an extent, I wouldn't even care who the money is going to, as long as they keep using that money to maintain the road and everything still works.
That's the thing. We need a
I think in that aspect of the toll gate and all, that will work better in a more developed country. Because
bro,
there should be toll gate and all, it also comes down to like the cost of living of an average individual in the country. So in a much more developed country, it might actually be easy for
But then, Dio, what will you suggest to a government, whether they stole the money, whether the money is just not there, whether there's a budget deficit? How would you suggest a government build new roads when they don't have money? They have to go into private sector partnerships, and then the money has to be paid back one way or the other. So if you don't want the government to take loan, and the government is running this budget on a deficit, crude oil prices are falling internationally every day, and you want new roads, it's not by magic.
It's true.
That's the reality. It's not. How many people would come and contribute money to the government to build roads? But then you are contributing money for the government to build roads in a way by paying toll, which is like you are paying back for the road that you are enjoying. It's different from, okay, maybe they have stolen the money, you don't see the road. They have done the road before they put the toll gate there. Now you have to pay a particular amount of money to enjoy that road. I feel like it's even better than taking loans to build the road in the first place.
And then
because now at least you can see the road.
One of the issues we have here in this country is the fact that we learn to either give the government a chance that these guys can actually mess up. You get that backup, like we just feel like it can't work.
It can't work, yeah.
It can't work. So we have this concept whereby when we are supposed to act them so they do things that would work, they are meant to be productive, they are meant to meet up on what they are supposed to do so that the nation itself can feel the benefit. We just naturally feel like, can these people actually do it? They can't do it. Imagine now we are talking about this toll gate and the tolls that we have to pay for the maintenance of the road, for a good road to be made and everything. And we ourselves are already like, how long are we supposed to even be paying for? How long do we want to actually pay for? How much should we be paying?
I think that's where the transparency Lexi is talking about comes in. Let us know the deal you signed. Don't just don't let government look like something that we cannot understand. We are not foolish. Be transparent. Let's know what deal you have signed. Exactly. Let's know the details. How much you are paying back. How long we are going to be paying it down.
How many of us even trust NTA now? Because NTA comes and tells us the nation's truth. Channels will come and tell us something else. PVC will come and say, Arise will come and crown it up for us. So
the
nowadays,
news stations right now, all of them are just vibing to whoever they think will win right now.
Exactly.
So
they want to be in their good graces.
Exactly.
The whole stuff is just in its own self, and then we have Twitter where every information is just balablu. We are not even sure which one is which anymore. As in, it's just it's so messed up in itself.
Nigeria matter. No, if you finish from one podcast,
it can't just end.
Because I even thought from the onset, I actually thought these articles segment would not take this much long, because he has always been like not part of the two major people that we are looking towards. Because if we have to look at it in media, in our day-to-day activities, I think it's more of Tinubu and Peter Obi. But
they give more ground.
Exactly. But
I think what APC is worried about with Atiku is they don't want him to divide the northern votes. Because whether we like it or not, politics, as long as it's who has the highest votes that wins, that means number would always matter.
That's why he's seated there.
Exactly. So we always know whether they are counting goats and sheep, and they are not just counting people. Population census still tells us that there are more people in the north than in any other
anywhere.
So and then even INEC stuff that was released recently, it still shows that there are more eligible voters in the north than any other place. So what it means is the north will always play a big role. And that is why every political party that wants to come in would always have to reverence the north, because you cannot win except you are trying to just be governor of your state or anything federal. You need the north. And that's it. That's our reality in Nigeria.
That's true.
That's the power of the country.
Yes.
So guys,
in conclusion,
Lexi,
do you have something to say?
No, just the only thing I have to say, so that all what we've said will count. PVC is still on, and I think there's an extension. So I would advise everyone to go out and get their PVC, so that you use your PVC to vote and not your mouth. And that way your vote will count for you.
I think they've finally decided that Twitter votes will not count.
Exactly.
So put down your phones.
Exactly what
I'm telling you.
Put down your phones and go and collect your PVC.
We have.
I remember when one hashtag like that was raining, like one person in the room. One person in the chat room. Yes.
So let's all try to get our PVCs, please, and support who we feel is deemed fit for that position.
Vote your conscience.
So exactly. So when maybe things don't turn out for the better, or I don't pray it turns out otherwise, we'll be able to say, okay, my decision was worth it. So let's try, and also let us promote one Nigeria, please. Let's also try to change our mindsets about Nigeria, an average Nigeria trying to embezzle money and all. Please, we can do it. So, any last note from?
Like to what you're saying, there's the saying that even twins self, they have different behaviors. How much more a country that has multiple ethnic groups? So we are all unique, we're all different, and we all have one thing that is bad about us or the other. Yoruba people have their own. Hausa people have their own, Igbo people have their own. But it's not about what makes us different.
And it is that uniqueness that makes us, that even beautifies things.
That beautifies things. So it's not a problem that we are different from each other. It's not a problem that each of us have our own flaws. What is important is that we know that we are in one country. Whoever wins this election, we are in it together. If you cannot pack your load and go if Tinubu win and you say you are obedient, you are not going anywhere. Hello. You can't say you are running away if Peter Obi wins because you are Bola Tinubu supporter. It is our country. And even if you jackpot, you cannot jackpot with your entire family.
Exactly.
some of your relatives will still remain in Nigeria.
Let Tommy be whining you. Let Tommy be whining you.
Naija must surely work. I know of somebody now that is from Lagos in this podcast. Almost the entire family don't japa, but the other brother still in Nigeria. But the other brother still in Nigeria, so Nigeria must work.
Ade, you know of somebody too on this podcast, eh? Where enable their family again for Nigeria. Off your mind, please.
My family house still there in Nigeria. My family house still there in Nigeria. Even though nobody they stay there again, but it's still there.
No,
And we still know people for this podcast where all their family in Nigeria.
So Nigeria must work now, one way or the other.
you know, like. But anyway, it's nice joining you guys today again as a family. So probably we meet next time. And till then, do my humble self, Mexicudi.
Tommy Loba here. Next week, I think we're talking about Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
The Jagaban.
Yeah. Wow. BAT is a bad. Anyways, I am Emmanuel Hadi.
And I'm Ekunda Yakimumi. And on behalf of Mayor, due to some glitches, it's not here. That's Mayor Crown. We are
Your
calling
crown.
this a wrap. And special shout out to everybody trying to listen to us. We will soon be on all platforms and everything. So get used to us. Get used to these faces. Get used to our voices. Very soon we'll be in your ears. Very soon. You understand? So peace out.
All right.
No shaking.